I would like to talk about true transformation today and how to heal yourself, how to get from that pivotal moment of at the bottom, at rock bottom, and how to climb out, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and how to move forward, pick yourself up, and move your own story forward, and literally have enough confidence, resources in yourself to be able to heal yourself. So stay tuned, we're just about to get into it. Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. I'm out for my morning walk. It's almost like summer. So we're all looking for ways to heal ourselves from chronic illness, chronic disease, chronic symptoms, chronic suffering, chronic pain, chronic mental illness, physical illness, whatever it is. And I'm here to tell you that the answers always come from yourself. So yes, you can search for help. You can look high and low, you can look on the internet, you can look to gurus, you can go to doctors, you can go to specialists. You can go around and around and as deep and as far as you need to go, because there are no shortages of programs, answers, gurus, specialists, professionals. But ultimately, the answer is going to come from within. Ultimately, when you really want to be one of those people who heals themselves and gets the miraculous healing that you're looking for, is when you take control of your own health and your own life and you realize that the answers are truly within. Okay, so today I'm going to share a little bit about my life pre-illness and then give you some actionable tips to go along with it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I used to be a writer. I used to write novels, I used to write fiction, I used to write screenplays, I used to write family comedies, romantic comedies. Okay, I was a big believer in love and the happy ending. Right? Everything was a happy, the bigger, the better, the more over the top, the better. I had a very innocent, idealistic view of the world, and I believed in those big, over the top, happy endings. And that's what I wrote when I wrote screenplays. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the structure of a screenplay, and I want you to think of it in conjunction with your healing journey. When I would write screenplays for Hollywood, there is a definite structure and an arc to a screenplay, right? And it starts out where you have a character, they're not really happy in their life, something going wrong, and that's usually the beginning of the screenplay, right? Nothing's quite as how it should be when we meet these characters. There's something missing, there's something longing, a need that isn't fulfilled in their life. Okay, and then comes along the inciting incident. Something happens and it sparks something in them. Like, man, I should really make this choice or go on this journey, or, what do I do about this? I'm coming up against something I need to make a decision about, and I'm scared. This is going to push me out of my comfort zone. Do I do it or not? And of course, when you get to plot point one, the hero of the story makes the decision to go for it, to go on the journey of this screenplay, no matter what it is, whether it's falling in love or, finding the ring or getting the guy or going on the quest, going on the adventure, whatever it is, okay? So now we head into, that's act one. Now we head into act two. Act two is the majority of the screenplays, and when you're writing a screenplay, everybody knows that the troublesome spot is act two, and you can basically die in act two. Act two is the hard part of the story. It's the meat of the story, it's the longest part of the story, and if you're not careful as a writer, this section of the story makes or breaks you, because the problems and the twists and the turns and everything that this character must encounter happens in acts two, and you can get swaying off course. You can go here and there looking for answers, trying to solve the problem, trying to fix it, right? You're having all these problems arise. The character must meet all these challenges, go through it. We're getting closer, further away from their goal. So a lot's going on in act two, and this is where you are in your healing journey. Let's just take act one. In the beginning, right? Something wasn't right. You're not feeling well. Nothing's working. Maybe everything you tried from the medical community didn't work, and you're like, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to take my healing journey into my own hands and do it. That's you at the end of act one, like, I'm doing this, okay? And then you get into act two and you learn as much as you can. You come up against all kinds of problems, all kinds of twists and turns and characters and setbacks and interesting plot points along the way. You look high and low. You are trying all kinds of things, some work, some fail, you're not really getting anywhere. Maybe you get close, you have a couple of moments of joy and bliss as things start to seem to come together, but of course inevitably they fall apart again. And as you're nearing the end of Act 2, this is where you lose everything, okay? So in this story, when you're a writer, nearing the end of the 2, okay, everything falls apart. You have that all is lost moment, okay? And the whiff of death, everything seems terrible, okay? So you lose everything. Your character is going to lose everything that they wanted, everyone that they wanted. They're going to be on their own. Their mentors are going to die. They're going to lose the love of their life. The problem seems further away than it ever did. You know, the boats blow up, the spaceship crashes, whatever it is, okay? It seems like the inevitable death of the story and your character, and the character as low as the screenwriter could possibly make them get. And of course, if you have done a good job as a screenwriter, when you get to the end of Act 2, your audience will feel those feelings. They will feel crushed for your character. They will have that heartache, right? That the mom died, or this all is lost moment is often very relatable because we relate to it in our own lives. All is lost, right? Rock bottom. And for many people, this, like, they call it almost like the whiff of death here, is like this is where people visit suicide. This is where as low as you can possibly be in your healing journey, where you just want to give up, there's no point, and you literally want to take your own life. Now, in a story, the character doesn't stay here long. They stay here just long enough before something incredible happens. Nothing physical happens. Nothing major happens. No action happens. But as the character is at their lowest low, they usually have a realization, an insight, a personal growth moment, an aha moment, as Oprah would say. It's like, aha, I see it. I finally see it. I know what to do. I have the answer. And just like life, that answer always and only comes from within the character. It signifies the death of the old and the rebirth of the new. And in this part of the screenplay, the character lets go of part of their old identity that has been holding back, the old patterns, the old things that have been going on, even lets go of their goal, the thing that they desperately wanted most, the thing that this whole screenplay has been about, the quest. And they understand that it's not really getting what they want that's important, but it's getting what they need. And what they need, like getting their needs met, comes from within. It's about finding that personal power, growth, realizing that you need love, realizing what's important in life, realizing something, a truth that has been hidden from you until this point. And it's like when Dorothy, looks down and the red slippers have been on her feet the whole time. She clicks them together and she can go home because she realizes now she sees. And so this moment is available for you too. And this is where we turn into Act 3, the final act of the story, the funnest part of the story, the most exciting part of the story. And if you've done your job as a screenwriter, this part of the screenplay almost writes itself. But this isn't the end of the screenplay, not by far. Once the character has their answer, once the character has that aha moment, the realization, the real work begins. They must jump into action, but now they're their own personal hero. Now the hero comes to light, and they must go and do what needs to be done, right? And the final battle is still yet to come, the biggest battle of the whole screenplay. But now, as they come up against the villainers, they come up against whatever it is they're coming up against, they have this inner wisdom, this knowing that's on their side. And that changes everything for the character, right? They're doing the same thing. They have the same sort of goal, but now they know something different. They feel something different, and they are different as a hero and as a character. So this final battle is ultimately the last one. And so there are still, many parts in Act 3 that are super important. We have the climax and the crisis, and then ultimately, finally, we are going to have a resolution. And this resolution isn't maybe even what the character thought they wanted in the beginning, but this resolution is satisfying to the viewer, it's satisfying to you as the writer, it's satisfying to the audience, and it's satisfying to the character because it's the ending that needed to happen. The character may not have gotten what they want, but they certainly got it what they need. And now their life maybe goes back to mirror what they were like at the beginning, but instead of something being off, everything's right about it. Do you know what I mean? Everything's the same, but everything's different. So if you had a character in the beginning, it's not like they're completely changed after going through this journey. Their life may be the same. Their relationships may be the same. They may live in the same spot. There may be similarities, but there are also massive differences because who they are inside has changed. Who they are deep down is different, and that is the satisfying ending that we're all looking for. And so if you're a writer or even a philosopher, or even, you've studied anything to do with Joseph Campbell before, you know that the hero's journey not only applies to writing, but it applies to life. This is the hero's journey. And you're on the hero's journey, my friend, only you can't see it because you're stuck in Act 2 and you're not doing a good job of it, right? This could go on forever. What we need is to get ourselves to the point. We're tired of Act 2. We're tired of all the problems, all the things, all the everything. Nothing's quite different. We're doing everything, but we're not getting ahead. And such is it with our healing journey, right? You may be doing all the diets, all the protocols, all going here, going there, like you're exhausting yourself. You're living in this never-ending circle of trying and failing and trying and failing and doing everything you can, but getting nowhere. This is a very long Act 2. That's all that you're in. And we just need to get over the hump and get into Act 3, because ultimately the best part of the story, and maybe the hardest part, the hardest part is usually in Act 3. So it's not that you're out of the clear, but once you get out of Act 2 and you come up against the hardest part in Act 3, you're ready for it. You're ready for it mentally, you're ready for it physically, you are ready for it deep down inside. Something is different, something has shifted, something has changed, and you're a new person. So when you face this biggest challenge again, you're different inside and you face it differently. And ultimately, you win. Ultimately, the hero is changed and the outcome is changed. And they end up getting maybe not what they want, but definitely what they need. And there was a super satisfying resolution as we wrap up Act 3. And hopefully, and if we're lucky, the character can get both what they need and what they want. And this, my friends, is the best of all happiest endings. Especially think romantic comedies, my favorite to write, because not only do you get the guy, but you get what you need and you get what you want, and life is beautiful, and thus the fairy tale, right? But even those stories where the character doesn't get the goal, doesn't get what they want, they still get what they need. There's still a sense of peace and happiness, feeling like all is right. And the hero takes another unexpected journey, one that they didn't foresee coming at the beginning of the story, but feels right now. And so this ending is satisfying too. So what does that have to do with you? It's funny. I gave up writing when I was sick. I couldn't look at a movie. I couldn't look at a screen. I could barely write. Writing was the last thing on my mind, and I certainly couldn't care about any of the problems of any characters that I could potentially write, nor could I ever see a happy ending for anything, including myself. So there was no hero's journey. But what I didn't know was that I was in the middle of my own. It's so funny, I've written story after story after story and didn't even realize. I knew, I had known at some point that I was stuck in the middle of my own Act 2, but I didn't really understand it, even as a writer in the moment. I didn't really see it clearly. Let's take it all the way back to the end of Act 2, right? There's a moment, and usually for this character, it's referred to as the all is lost, when this character loses everything and everyone, and nothing seems like it will ever be right again. This is the lowest spot of the whole screenplay, the whole movie, that the character will ever be in. again, even when they face the ultimate climax and the ultimate test, they're never this low, because this is the lowest they ever are inside, in their heart, psychologically. And so maybe when we all get to this point, this is the point where those realizations are open to us. But if we keep pushing them off, if we keep doing the same things, living out the same patterns, we never get there, right? We just have a continual act 2 that goes on and on and on and never comes to an end. So go there, my friends. Feel the feelings. Sink down. When you are at your lowest, stay there. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to get out of it. Stay there and stay there. Be in that moment. Remember, this is your moment. And it may be longer than it is in the movies. It may be longer than a day. So don't worry. Stay in this moment as long as it takes for you to get your aha, your realization moment, so that you can get out of Act 2 finally. And so you may be asking, how do I get out of Act 2? I'm at the lowest point. I'm sunk down to the bottom, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm not having this realization. I don't know how to hear the voices. Nothing's parting. The sky's not opening. The voice from the great beyond, and inside my body is not rising up. It's not telling me. It's not showing me. I'm just simply stuck here. I'm stuck, I'm floundering, and I'm at the end. There are no other options. I'm out of them. I've done everything. I've tried everything. I've been to everyone. I have done everything. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm beaten up. I'm hopeless, and I can't go on anymore. And nobody and nothing is coming to save me. I don't hear the voice. Okay, take a breath. If this is you, this is exactly where you need to be to hear that voice. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, okay? Because everybody's voice is different. Everybody's aha moment is different. It is a personal thing. But for those of you who just need the answer to be given to them, I'm about to share it for you, because it's the same for me. It is the same for you. It's the same for every character in every movie, every novel, and every screenplay ever written. And here is what happens. Here is the realization that carries you from Act 2 into Act 3 every single time. Maybe in different forms, maybe in different ways, maybe in different realizations, but this is the key. This is the essence of what carries every character, every movie, every hero's journey from Act 2 into Act 3. It is at this point when the character finally gives up. They finally accept that everything that they're doing to solve this problem up to this point has not and will never work. And at this point in the story, they realize what they have to do is turn inside, look inside, take their power back, and get what they need, not what they want. So the realization that every character, every script, every hero must have is that they're done trying. They're done giving away their power. They're done doing all these ways that don't work. And what they're going to do is they're finally going to do. They're finally going to listen to themselves. They're finally going to do what's in their heart. They're finally going to take the bull by the reins in their own way and go get that girl, go solve the problem, go do whatever they want. They don't need to follow anybody anymore. They don't need their teams. They don't need whatever it was, tactic that they had, the ruse, whatever was playing out. They just need themselves. They just need to bear themselves and be honest with themselves and others and take their power back. And that is it. That is what gets somebody from Act 2 into Act 3. That's it. It's simple, but it's profound. And you can't just know it. The character, it's not enough for them to know it. They have to feel it. They truly have to feel what it feels like to be like, I'm taking my power back. I don't need all this, the disguise, the ruse, the game, the adventure, whatever it is. I'm gonna go get what's mine with my truth. My truth shall lead the way. Here we go. I'm letting it all hang out. This is me. And so if you're having a hard time even figuring out how that relates to your healing journey, I'm going to tell you exactly how it relates to your specific healing journey. You have to give up everything that you're doing. Accept that everything that you've done up until now, every protocol, every supplement, every diet, every person that you've listened to, all the specialists, everything that you've tried, all the work, everything that you're doing is not the answer It is not what you're working, and that you need to stop giving your power away to everybody out there, and you need to take it for yourself. You need to take your power back, and this is the moment where you say, I don't care what happens. I don't care what climax and what I'm going to come up against next. I don't care what's in the cave, what's behind the curtain. I am going to be me. I'm going to live my truth. I'm going to go for what I want. And I know that I can do it because I'm taking my power back. I'm going in. And if I fail, then I fail. Then it's on me. So this is your moment where you say, I am going to heal myself. I am going to heal with myself. I'm going to be with myself. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm going to hold my personal power and my personal truth in the forefront. And I'm not going to be swayed. I'm not going to be swayed by others. I'm not going to be swayed by the symptoms. I'm not going to be swayed by anything or anyone, because I know the truth. I feel the truth, and I'm going to heal myself. I am, and I will. And in the end, it doesn't even matter whether I heal myself or not. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to be there for myself. I'm going to hold my head high no matter what, even if I fail. And that's the power, and that's the attitude and the mindset that gets you out of Act 2 and into Act 3 of your journey to really come up against the hard stuff and ultimately fight the biggest battle and win. And there is no going back after this part. There's no going back to your old patterns, your old ways, your own thoughts, your own way of being, to this victimhood mentality. When you go forward with your full self, and you're different inside as a person. A new knowing inside you that you can do this, you are strong enough, and you will do this, and you'll stay with yourself whether you do or you don't. Okay, so I'm just finishing this video. I have to pop to the grocery store. I wanted to finish the video while it's fresh in my head. So I want to talk about that pivotal transformation point, going from the end of Act 2 where all is lost to, like, you have renewed hope and you're going into Act 3 and you're gonna solve this. This is the hero's journey. This is the most important part of the script, of the movie, of the hero's journey, of anything that you're writing and anything that you're going through. So let's just understand this just a bit better. The hero doesn't just make this choice. The hero sheds who they were, who they used to be, the patterns that they used to have, the way they used to relate and talk to themselves, the way they used to be in the world. Their entire world view dies at this point. A part of themselves dies. The old them dies. The old world view, the old patterns, the old way of being in the world dies at that moment. That's why, when people are at their lowest point, their rock bottom, and they feel like they can even end it or give up, these are the moments, right? You can actually really die, or a part of you can die. And what needs to go, metaphorically speaking, is the part of you that's not working anymore. The false part of you. The false part of you must die. The part that isn't standing on your own 2 feet. The part that's powerless. The part that doesn't believe in yourself. The part that's the face mask. The part that's not the real you. This all must die. So it's at this point in the script and this point in life, the old part, the part that is of your nervous system that is keeping you safe, the way that you act and react in life in order to guard yourself, keep you safe, pretend, put masks on, stay safe, be whatever. This part of you must die, literally die, metaphorically die and literally die. Part of you inside, the part of you that cannot solve the problem, must die, because that part of you is never going to solve the problem. That part of you cannot carry on into your new way of being if you want to transform, if you want to be different. And that's why transformation is like part of you must die. It's like a death and a rebirth. So you literally, the old part of you that's not working has to die so that the part of you can become who you truly are. The part of you that is capable of solving this problem. Shed who you were to become who you need to become the type of person that you need to become in order to heal yourself, to solve this problem, to do the thing. And that means letting go of a lot of things that you might feel have kept you safe and also stuck for a very, very, very long time in Act 2. And so it's when we transform, when we allow that part of ourselves, when we see it clearly, and we say it's time for that to die now, and then you must become the new person, the new being who is capable of solving this, who's going to bring all of the things that are needed. Because so far you don't have the qualities and the resources that you need to solve this problem. Because the old part of you has been trying to do it. The part that must be shed in order to make room for the parts of you that are available to solve the problem and available to really become who you need to become, to be the person that is healed. You need to become a fully new person because your old identity won't match the new healed you. Right? It sounds big. It sounds big, and it is big. And that's why some of you, and I too, wait so long to heal. Because parts of you, it's scary to shed these parts. It's scary to shed these parts. And it's not comfortable. It hurts. It's not easy. There's a lot of loss and death with that. But then the rebirth can happen. Then the parts that need to come, you need to become somebody new in order to be healed. You really need a new way to relate to the world, a new identity, new feelings, new way to talk to yourself, new patterns. You need to become a whole new you, the you that's capable of being a healed person and not falling back on all those old patterns and the ways that you relate to the world right now. What action can you actually take now after, what can you do? So rather than just wait at your lowest point, rather than just wait when you're kind of at the end, when you're at your breaking point, when you're at your all is lost, when you feel like you're going to give up, when you're completely hopeless and you want to end it all. Rather than just waiting for like this realization or this answer to come to you, what can you do? What you can do is I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions in order to take action here. I don't want you to be in an endless Act 2. This endless, just keep coming up against the same problems with the same attitude, but nothing's changed inside, right? Because until we make that inner shift, we can't move forward into the final act of our journey, right? We're stuck there. So what can we do? What can we actually do? What is the action that we need to take rather than just waiting for this through the clouds? Okay, so I want you to pretend that you are at your lowest low. When that pain comes, when those symptoms come, when the suffering comes, when the hopeless feeling comes, when the grief comes, when you're totally at your lowest low and you feel helpless and hopeless, I want you to revel in that. I want you to relish in that. I want you to know that this is part of the process. And instead of fighting it, trying to fix it, trying to make it change, even trying to solve your own problem, I want you to give up. I want you to just stay there with it in that moment and know that this is your moment. And then instead of waiting for it to magically reveal itself to you, I want you to ask it. Maybe in meditation, maybe just with a pen and a paper in journal fashion, or maybe just sit and contemplate and ask the question to yourself. If I was a character right now, if I was a hero in a movie, how do I take my own power back from here? What is it that I need to do? We already know the answer. You already know the answer is that you need to take your personal power back and you need to say, I'm going to heal myself no matter what. I'm going to stay with myself no matter what. I'm not going to expect anyone else to do it. I'm going to take full responsibility for my own health, my own life, my own journey. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself anymore. I'm going to take it. It's mine, whether it's good or it's bad, or whether I fail, whether I don't fail. I am taking full responsibility. I don't need to complain to anyone. I don't need to ask for advice. I don't need to ask for opinions. I have the answers inside. I'm going to look to my answers inside, and I am going to do this with kindness, love, and compassion for myself, and I am not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to abandon myself. I'm not going to leave myself. I'm not going to be swayed. I'm not going to look at the next shiny protocol or the next shiny gadget. I'm not going to look for the next answer. I'm going to stop looking without, and I'm going to start looking within. And I'm going to do it with confidence, and I'm going to take my power back. Even if I don't think I can do it, I'm going to try. I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to listen to my heart, listen to my own truth, and I'm going to do this. So that's the answer. So how do you get yourself from your lowest of lows, at your hopeless point, at that, imagine yourself in the movie, in the part of the movie where everyone dies, everything, the plan blows apart, you know, everything is lost in this moment, and all hope is lost. There's no more hope for your plan, for your goal, for anything to happen. Everything has given up. You've lost everyone and everything in your life. And what's it going to take at this moment to turn to yourself and say, rather than give up, I'm going to try again, but this time I'm going to do it with a new perspective, with me. I'm going to do it for me. I'm going to do it trusting myself, loving myself, right? I'm going to do it because I have to do it, because I've chosen to do it, because I'm ready, because I believe in myself, because I'm taking full courage in myself. So imagine that moment, because Dorothy had the slippers on the whole time, right? She could have clicked them at any point and gone home, right? She didn't need to go on that journey. But there was a journey. There is a journey. There's ultimately a journey before we realize that we have the power, before we realize we can click our heels. And so because Dorothy could have clicked them at any point, right? And suddenly she realized that. And when she realized that she could click her choose at any point, it all made perfect sense. She's like, yes. But she didn't know that beforehand, and she couldn't have known it any earlier than she did in the story, because she had to go through that journey, and most characters in the story have to go through their journey in order for their insides to catch up with the answer. So it's not just about having the answer, like, hey Dorothy, click your heels and you'll go home. She needed to learn and change and grow into the person who's now ready to click her heels and go home. Do you see? So you need to learn the lessons that make you ready for the answer, because the answer's there. I just gave you the answer. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So I have to make a couple more stops, but we're going to keep going with this. So people think that transformation is some like mystical, magical, you have to be at the top of a mountain with the yogi, or at the very bottom of the all is lost moment where you're totally at rock bottom. And how do you know when you're at rock bottom? Because basically the skies are going to apart and you're going to hear the angel's voice talking to you, and like, this is transformation. Something's going to happen, and you're going to feel it, you're going to know, you're going to transform. But that's not always what it's like. And I want to just like cancel out this mystical idea. I want to bring normalcy to this process, because I've already told you the answer. I've already told you, so you can see how it happens with every hero, with every movie, with every book, with every hero, and you can see how it applies to your own healing journey, right? And so this is the answer. This is what happens. You finally get to the end of Act 2, you finally feel like you can't. And so like, when you're having those symptoms, when you're having those moments in your life, when you're having that ultimate deep down, dark, hopeless feeling, and you feel like you are ready to give up, you can't go on. Some people feel like they're going to commit suicide. Some people have just had enough. They just can't take it anymore. They just, you're just at the end of everything. You have nothing left physically, emotionally. Like, when those moments come over you, and I realize when we're working with a chronic illness, those moments come over you often, right? Especially if you're suffering deeply with a lot of chronic pain and symptoms and conditions. So let that come, let that sweep you away. And when you're in there, remember, this is my moment, this is my time, here it is, and I already know what the answer is. So now that you know when your moment's coming, like when you're at rock bottom, like how you find this all is lost moment, and you already know what the answer is that you've got to believe in yourself. You transform and grow by saying, I'm taking responsibility. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to throw everything out that isn't working. I'm going to throw out all those patterns, all those beliefs, everything that has gotten me to this point because it's not working, and I'm gonna see what really matters to me, what's really important. I'm gonna trust myself, believe in myself, love myself, and I'm not gonna give up. I'm never gonna leave myself, and I'm gonna do this completely 100% differently. And when you feel that, you stay there until you feel it, until you feel it inside, like, yes, this is truth for me, and I'm gonna make this commitment, like it's happening, right? You sort of, and sometimes it happens, like it just happens because you're so low, and sometimes you can actually make it happen, right? You can't force yourself to transform, but when you're in that situation, you can become aware and be like, I can make a choice here, and the choice is me. The answer's within. I'm like Dorothy. I can click my heels at any point. I just have to wake up and realize it. So once you realize it, once you're in that moment, once you know what the answer is, and once you're ready to make that choice, then you stand firmly up like the character who is going into Act 3, and you say, this is the new me. Like, this is it for me now. You take your power back. You rise off the ground. You give yourself a pep talk of confidence and love and support, and it is time now for you to take your journey into your own hands, to become your own healer, to really know, trust, and believe in yourself that you're capable and that you will do it, and that even if you don't do it, you will learn, you will grow, you will transform, and that you're ready. So when the character goes into Act 3, the movie's not over, right? So just because we've had that transformation, just because we have made the decision, just because we picked ourselves up and we're heading into Act 3, does not mean it's over. In the movies, when the character goes in, they still have to go save the world. They still have to go get the girl. They still have to go do the thing, right? Their biggest test is yet to come. The difference is they now have new skills, new qualities, a new awareness, a new relationship with themselves, new power and trust in their own abilities, confidence. And then when they get into these spots, so the pain is going to rise again, the relationships are going to come again, like the problems are going to keep coming, right? Everything is going to appear the same, but when you're different on the inside, now you have to take those qualities, take those things that you said and the things that you've learned and the things that you know, and put them into action. So that's the real transformation. So even though you can make a pinnacle moment of transformation, that's kind of like where the character transforms as they head into Act 3. Now they have to use all those new skills and those new qualities and bring the new attitude and bring the new truth of themselves forward into their biggest battles yet to come. So that's like proving themselves now. So yes, you have it. Yes, you understand. Yes, you have the insight. Yes, you have a new resilience and a new truth about your own self. But now, when the hardest tests are yet to come, you have to display different actions. You have to display different qualities. You have to relate to yourself and do it differently. You have to let go of the old and use the new. So that's how the characters win in Act 3. It's not that there's no more challenges to come. In fact, their greatest challenges are to come, but they use their new resources, their new insights, the new lessons, the new way that they feel about themselves. They use all of this truth and they bring their own power into Act 3, and then they're able to use those skills and those qualities in those same situations, but it comes out differently, and this is where the character gets to beat and save the day. This is where the character gets to win, because we're not doing the things the same anymore. We're doing them differently. So when all the same relationships in your life happen, when all the same patterns, when all the same symptoms, when all the same triggers are happening, we now do it differently. And when we do it differently, we make big changes, and suddenly we see, and that's the real transformation that leads to a resolution, that leads to the ending, that leads to where we all want to get, right? So it's not as if that character will never come up against things anymore in their life, but now they're different, and now they can live their life different, and now they can be different in the moment, and now they can act different and relate different to others, and they can bring their full self to the situation, not just part of themselves, not just fear. They're not fueled by fear anymore. They believe, trust, and love in themselves. So I hope that I've broken down transformation easily today. I hope that I've broken down how to do this, why it's not a mystery, why it doesn't need to be a mystery, and how actually just looking at characters, stories, writing, and everything that we can actually use this to take action in our own life and make it happen, speed up our own journey into that final third act so we can get to the end of this screenplay. Not the end of life, not the end of hurts, not the end of, pain, not the end of suffering, but to the end of this illness story. Right? We want to move on from it. We want to begin a new story, a new chapter in our lives, right? And that's how we get there. So I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.